I appreciate
No,
it.
no, of course. And it forces us to
not belabor.
Stay on point and get to it and do what we got to do.
Yeah, so dude, those 8 guys I gave you, like 4 of them were signed, so we could skip that thing if you want. It doesn't matter.
I thought we would just go over the
Okay.
main signings.
Yeah, that's what I got a couple written down too.
The big names, and then some of the big names that are left that I'm a little surprised.
Okay.
So,
okay,
and maybe fine. Why, and maybe, obviously why they're still on the board. So, okay. What's up, everybody, and welcome to the St. Patrick's edition of Bump and Run. I'm Pete Colasano, joined as always by my soon-to-be drunk friend, Scott Bracey. What's going on, dude?
Only a matter of time.
Of course.
Happy St. Patty's Day to you, sir. How are you?
I'm doing okay. I got I don't know if everybody can see it. It's in my Jack, Jim, Johnny, and Jameson shirt on. This is about as Irish as this guinea gets. So
that's a tremendous shirt.
Enjoy it when you got it. So a lot going on. I want to tell you something. This happened 2 years in a row now. Last year, the podcast was very new for us, and then this year we've done it for a year. But I get the same question from friends when the football season ends. I get the same question, and the question is, "Oh, dude, now that football's over, are you gonna have like enough stuff to talk about?" And I'm like, "Bro, this is when I have unlimited things to talk about. Like we can just go on for hours. This podcast could easily be 3 hours if we wanted it to this time of year. This is the best. When the games are on, you're analyzing the games and you're like, this happened, this could have happened, this should have happened, and then that's about it, But in the off season, and we'll get into the possible trades, possible scenarios, the free agents, it's been something else so far, and there are still a ton of names out there, and we'll get to those soon enough. But of course,
and we didn't even scratch the surface with draft talk yet.
We didn't even get to the draft, which is really, I think, probably our forte. Yeah, that's probably what we're best at. But of course, with all that going on, there's one man who has found a way to steal the stage for 20 years. He does it again, rightfully so. Rightfully so. He deserves it. And that means Tom Brady is back. Didn't take long. What was it, 40 days?
I believe it was 40 days.
Yeah, it's he's like Jesus. He's the football Jesus because he roamed the desert for 40 days and 40 nights and decided, what?
He's close to what Jesus says on the football field as you can get. So.
He decided the football world needs God back, and he has risen from the grave.
23rd year, bro.
Insane. Listen. I had a hard time swallowing the whole idea that he was retiring. And I always go back to this point. When he was like 39, he said he wanted to play until he was 45. And then at 44, you have the best statistical season in the entire league. You throw for more touchdowns and for more yards than anybody else in the league. And that's 1 year short of your stated goal. And that's when you retire. I just found it a little odd. And so I'm not terribly surprised. I'm always a little surprised. But I'm not terribly surprised.
So let me ask you, do you think this is wife-related? The retirement in itself? And he's done a good job of not throwing her under the bus. If that's the case, he's kind of just...
But you would think that that's been the case for the last 10 years? Almost.
Yeah, but who knows how long he's been promising her, this is it.
This is true. Yeah, the behind-the-scenes stuff, who the hell really knows, But I just... As a guy who's been doing this... into his 40s, I think one more year to meet his stated goal, I think his wife probably would have understood. I mean, she's been saying for at least since he's 40. Earlier than that. I know it was earlier than that I wish he would retire. I wish he would stop playing. I wish he would just be with us. So she's been understanding thus far.
Now, let me flip it around to you. Do you think maybe he's been home in a major pain in the ass? And she's like, all right, go leave.
Well, what I was thinking is that he's home and his son is 14 and he's thinking, oh, I'm going to spend time with the family. They're going to love me being home. It's going to be great. I'm going to be like Mr. Mom. I'm going to be the dad who's finally here all the time. And then he's home and they're all like, the kids are on the computers and on their iPads and they're playing Xbox and they're out playing ball with their friends. And dad isn't really, see, Tom Brady is Tom Brady to us, like godlike Tom Brady, as our intro says. But he's just dad to them. Like they know it's not that they don't know who he is, but he's just dad.
Yeah.
Like your dad, like my dad, like he's just dad, So I don't know that it's such a, oh my God, Tom Brady,
with a much
my
bigger
dad
house
is staying home.
and nicer cars.
Oh, yeah, just slightly. Yeah, slightly better toys. But that's what I'm saying. Like to them, it's not like, oh God, Tom Brady's in my house today. Thank God, like I better take advantage of this. If Tom Brady came over right now, I'd be like, hey, dude, get in here. Like I wouldn't know what to do.
Tom Brady's dad probably farts after corned beef just like we do.
So I think he's home and like nobody's really interested, and Gisele's off doing some like modeling somewhere in Egypt, and he's just like, maybe I'll just go play some football. This is silly. I'm just sitting home by myself in this 30,000 square foot mansion.
Will he play after this year?
That's a good question. Somebody asked me that today, and I think the answer to that question for the last 4 or 5 years has been, I don't know, and we'll see. If he goes out there and throws for another 5,300 yards and 40-something touchdowns, it's hard. It's hard. Let's be honest too. Like a lot of their games are on TV. We didn't see all their games, but he didn't really get hit a lot last year. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but now they have a lineman that retired. They got to bring in another lineman. So
we'll see. So I think just like with everything else with him, I think it depends. They just brought in who'd they just sign? Gage from Atlanta. So they signed Galloway. Although he won't be ready when the season starts. Godwin. I'm sorry, Godwin. He won't be ready when the season starts, most likely because he tore his ACL
in the playoffs, right?
Was it in the playoffs?
No. It was before that.
Very late. It was definitely very late. So he'll unlikely to start the season. But they're reloading. They have the Tom Brady effect where guys are taking less money because they want to play on this team and try to win a championship. It is amazing what that kind of leadership does. Mike Evans just restructured his contract to take a little less money or put some money off or however the hell they do this stuff.
Do you think Gronk will be back?
I would assume Gronk will be back. Why would he go anywhere else?
OJ Howard's gone, so maybe they bring back Brait too as well. So you have the 2 tight ends.
Absolutely.
And he likes Brait. Brait's pretty good.
Yeah. So if to answer your question, you think this is it? Dude, if they go 13-4 and they go to the NFC Championship game or the Super Bowl, it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, God, he'll be 45 years old.
I know.
So I can't sit here and say, no way, he'll definitely play. But he clearly has the arm. Obviously, the experience, the play is there. It's not like there's been some drop off in play, which is utterly bananas.
I mean, and it's hard to imagine he falls off a cliff. I mean, you could see gradually. You could see gradually he takes a step back.
Sure,
but I don't see.
People bring up Peyton Manning. It's like, dude, Peyton Manning had multiple surgeries on his neck. He couldn't even feel his arm anymore. Or Drew Brees. Drew Brees, descent. It didn't happen in a year. For the last 4 or 5 years, probably 4 years of Drew Brees' career, he didn't throw the ball more than 35 yards down the field. That just wasn't his game because that wasn't really what he did. He couldn't really do that very, very well. So that's clearly not the case with Tom Brady, dude. He throws as good a deep ball as anybody in the game right now. And I mean anybody. Yep. I don't care who you could say anybody's name. Tom Brady is as accurate throwing a ball 30-plus yards down the field as anybody in football right now, which is crazy.
He did it in the playoff game. He threw a seed to Evans in the playoff game.
And when you think of that game specifically, the last thing, they were getting smashed and come all the way back and tie that thing up, only to have it taken away last minute by Stafford on that great pass. So it'll all depend on how things go. I can't imagine things go terribly bad, but you never know. He could get hurt too. And if he got hurt, I think it would definitely be over.
Yeah.
But I'm just glad he's back. I'm sorry. I don't want superstars who are in any sport. I don't want superstars who are playing really well to retire. It's good whether you like them or not. I'm telling you, I think neither one of us are big LeBron James fans, but he's who's that guy? But he's leading the league in scoring, and it's an interesting story. And they stink. And they stink. And he's scoring, and he talks, and he sounds like a moron. But it's great. This is what you need. This is what makes what we do fun and discussions fun. Now, if he stunk, nobody was really remember when Michael Jordan played for the Bullets at the time or the Wizards, whatever the hell it was. nobody was really talking about it. He was averaging 20 points a game, which is fine, but he's not Michael Jordan. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want superstars retiring when they're still playing well. I want them to keep going because it's fun. They're superstars for a reason, even if we hate them. So,
yep, I agree.
That's where I'm at with that. I hope he does. I hope he plays.
But
forever.
when Jeter retired, he was shot.
Yeah, but he even left us with a little taste. Getting a game-winning hit and all that kind of stuff. So, but it was over, and you didn't feel like, oh man, God, he clearly can play one more year. It's like it wasn't.
And the whole thing was just sloppy.
Correct.
So
to be honest, to be fair, Tom Brady is playing a position in sports it's unlike any other, and you can play this long because of the rules and the inability of anybody to pretty much hit quarterbacks and all this kind of stuff, which he even disagrees with. So that plays into it, but it is what it is. There's lots of other guys retiring. Phillip Rivers isn't playing anymore. So anyway, I'm happy about that.
Me too.
What do we want to get to? We want to get to free agency?
You want to do that? Or do you want to hit the AFC, NFC North?
Let's do the free agency stuff.
Back.
That's the fun shit. Yeah, that's the fun stuff. So I'll tell you one free agent signing that, listen, I get it and I don't get it. Like I get the signing.
Can I guess?
So I get the signing. I just don't get the signing.
That would be Mr. Von Miller.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I get wanting him. 6 years, 120-something million.
So can I jump in real quick before you
Please.
say, as a former Bronco and one of my favorite players of all time, I am so happy with the Broncos management that did they not make an emotional decision with that.
I agree.
And give him that kind of money. That is a good pass, I think. And sir, please, the floor is yours.
No, I agree with you 100% because I can't imagine. Listen, I don't know what the language is in this contract, so I can't imagine it's actually a 6-year contract. But
no way.
I think like 70 million of it is guaranteed, so that's going to be at least 3 or 4 years. So I don't know where the Josh Allen contract situation stands. I don't know how much he's making this year. Listen, they got their cap guys, so that's their business. Obviously, they can afford it.
But dude, I just wonder
if down the road it's going to end up costing them.
Off the top of your head, not many other guys are making a lot of cash there.
Well, I don't know about Diggs. He's going to be owed very soon.
Correct. So that's why I think this is probably a 2-year thing at best for Von.
But it's just weird. They signed him for 6, and I think like 70 million of it's guaranteed. And the other thing that's weird is if you even look at the way he played with the Rams last year, he was really more of like a spot defender. He wasn't an every down player.
And he had a slow start to the Rams tenure too.
Yeah, I get that. And I think he was also nursing a little bit of an injury when he first got there.
That's fair. I think
a little, but he wasn't
nagging.
A little nagging injury. So they gave him the time because they really didn't need him at the time. But I don't know. I like getting Von Miller. Like, I think it's a good signing. I think a 2-year contract would have been right. Now, again, this is one of those situations where we say, I don't know what other teams are offering. I don't know what the Rams are offering. I don't know what Denver was offering. So they, maybe they had to.
I thought Dallas was involved too at the last minute.
Dallas is, oh my God. You want to get into Dallas?
I'd love to, actually.
Yeah, what was the situation? Explain the situation there with what's his face?
What was it, early Tuesday morning, that it got reported that Randy Gregory was going to go back to the Cowboys for.
All right, that's right.
I think around the same amount of money, or a little bit less, or a little bit more, something like that.
I think it was a little bit less, and I'll tell you why when you're done.
So all of a sudden, there was a snag in the contract where if he tested positive for weed again,
or if he got fined or suspended.
Got fined or suspended, correct, yes. That they were going to, null and void the contract?
It gave them the option to do that.
Okay.
It didn't mean it was automatic, but it gave them the option.
Sacks through 4 weeks, they weren't going to obviously do that.
Of course not.
So exactly what that is. Performance level-based suspension.
Yeah.
So then all of a sudden his agent calls up the Denver Broncos.
Let me point something out so that people understand. What day did you say that was? That was Monday?
That was Tuesday.
So while he was offered a contract and agreed to it, what do they call that? In
principle or
they agreed to it in principle.
Yeah.
The actual signing day, the actual opportunity to sign wasn't until Wednesday at 4:00. Okay.
Yes.
So that's why what Scotty's about to tell you.
There was no.
It wasn't done yet. It was agreed to in principle, but there was no ink on the paper. So go ahead.
So then the Broncos call up mutual interest. No such suspension. No such bullshit. They ink him for 5 years, $70 million. And Cowboy fans are crying, and I know some of them, and all I can do is smile. Because if he's not suspended and he's healthy, holy shit.
Well, how about if he is playing really well and does get suspended, but still comes back and helps them win a Super Bowl?
yeah, exactly.
That would be almost worse, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I just think it's crazy, and that's the part of the silly season that is like free agency. If I'm not mistaken, I think the team that a player is on does have the opportunity to sign him before the free agency period starts. But I guess in the end, all this stuff.
This show's great, dude. I'm sorry to interrupt. We have breaking news.
Please jump in.
It's nothing major, but it has to do with free agency, what we're talking about. So we'll get to it when you're done. But just the timing on this is unbelievable.
Oh, fantastic. So it's just interesting. I forget the hell I was going to say. So
I'm sorry, dude. That's my fault.
No, that's
sorry.
okay.
I'm so sorry.
That's okay. What I wanted to say was I think Dallas offered a little less because you have to remember that Texas doesn't have a state income tax.
Oh, that's true.
So they have, they can offer a little less money. It actually balances out because Colorado has a higher income tax rate and yada, yada, yada. So,
and you can smoke weed.
Which he'll love. So he's pretty good at it. What do you got? What's the breaking news? Tell me.
Wide receiver Allen Robinson, formerly of the Jaguars, formerly of the Bears. You have a guess.
No, I just want to hear you say it.
The Los Angeles Rams.
Oh, how do they do that?
3 years, $46.5 million.
How do the Rams, where do they get the money?
Well, they just lost Von Miller's contract. They don't have Beckham's contract. So I had Beckham written down here thinking that he was going to go back there. I don't know now.
Why would they?
Dude, Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods.
Oh, my God.
Allen Robinson.
Dude.
Oh, my God.
Dude. Let me just say this. The Rams will be I will say the exact same words when we get to the season preview in August.
No depth.
No depth. If they stay healthy, this is as good a team as there is in football. They are loaded at the top, but then it gets really thin after that. And this is just another example. God damn, they are loaded on offense.
It's
holy
crazy.
Shit.
A healthy Cam Akers for the whole year.
Why are they even going after him? That's crazy. You think it's because Odell tore his knee?
Yeah. I think they would have had him back. I think.
What was the dough?
46.5 over 3 years.
For 3?
I didn't see guaranteed money or something like that. Yeah.
It's basically like 15.
Unbelievable.
Dude, that's a bargain.
Dude, Seattle got worse.
I'm so pissed the Jets didn't jump on that.
San Fran's a question mark, and there's drama with Arizona. Dude, they're gonna be. Oh man.
Oh, yeah. That division changed quickly, didn't it?
It really did.
Kyler's a big fat pussy, and Seattle just lost Russell Wilson.
And Seattle's like tanking for something.
And Jimmy G might be out of San Francisco.
And you're going with a guy that no one knows anything about.
Yeah, maybe. Wow.
That's where the NFL's king. Buddy.
I know, it's just crazy. They're playing with different kind of money, man. I don't know. Do they have a separate cap in California or something? They're not afraid. Is that clean energy cap?
You know what? You brought up the Jets. You think that was?
I'm so pissed. That's why I was hoping he was going to the Jets. And at $15 million a year, that's barely more than you're paying Corey Davis.
I didn't even hear him with the Jets. I heard Chiefs.
I never heard any whispers of it, but in the pre-free agency period, that was something that was talked about. Like, will the Jets go after Allen Robinson? And I'm like, I certainly hope so, because I'm not going to put his poor stats on him last year. They didn't even have a goddamn quarterback to throw him the football. So, and he missed a handful of games with injuries. So, I mean, he's a monster.
The Bears, again, waste fucking talent.
But that's what I'm saying.
Like, I've never seen.
How on earth Can the Rams afford Allen Robinson, but Chicago can't afford to re-sign him? They got a rookie quarterback. They got no talent. And
Maybe he didn't want to go back there. I mean, that's.
But they could have done it last year. They could have done it last year, and they didn't.
Well, maybe he had faith last year, and then he's like, you know what? I went back. Fool me once, shame on me. Or shame on you. Whatever the saying is. I always get that.
Well, you know what it is. Fool me once, he's better off with the Rams. That's
correct.
Christ.
Especially Bears, Rams.
Well, it's a no-brainer now. Yeah, right, of course. I mean, it certainly worked out for him better this way. But geez, Louise, man, this is what I'm saying. How on earth can they not sign guys? They're constantly losing players, but the Rams are only paying players.
This isn't a dig at you, but you have the same problem over the years. If you're not putting a winning product on the field, dude, you're not going to get these big-time guys.
No, it's something. It's something. It really is something. It's amazing. It is amazing.
I mean, dude, you really got to get the right scouting. Look what the Bengals are doing. They got the right scouting. They turned this thing around in a fucking minute and a half. It's crazy. The Niners
did quarterback in place. That has a lot to do with it.
So when they drafted Bosa, second overall, they went to the Super Bowl that year. So quarterback's huge. I get it, but man,
it's amazing.
And we have no faith in Fields, either one of us.
Absolutely not. No, and I'm not saying it can't happen. I'm not saying it's impossible. Because when in the draft period, I said I think his ceiling I think is Cam Newton, and Cam Newton went to a friggin' Super Bowl, and I think he's actually a better passer of the football than Cam Newton. I think he's actually faster than Cam Newton and quicker than Cam Newton. He's just not as quick. He's not quite as big, so I think he could actually be a decent version of Cam Newton, and that's nothing to sneeze at. I just don't like him. Like I didn't like Cam Newton as a quarterback, so was proven right on that one. By the way,
yes, you were. I'm back. Yeah, for what? 22 seconds?
Yeah, that aged well. Good job, Cammy. So speaking of Cincinnati, I just wanted to bring up something. The Jets. I know I'm a homer here, but I'm trying to be like very unbiased. The Jets picked up how do you say his name? TJ Uzoma.
Uzama.
All right, I was pretty goddamn close.
You were close.
This is a legit pickup for him. This is the one thing you and I were talking about with the Jets that they could really use a little security blanket for a rookie second-year quarterback. Huge. A real grown-up, by the way. This is a guy who, was a real leader in the locker room for Cincinnati. I'm a little surprised that they didn't re-sign him, especially considering I think the Jets signed him for like $7 million a year. It's not like a monster contract. Maybe it's $7 or $8 million a year. It's not a monster contract. It's only 3 years. And I just think, you got a guy who helped your quarterback and help protect him. He's good in pass rush, pass rush protection. He's good at run blocking, and he's a good receiver, and he's good in the open field, and he's good in the locker room, and he was kind of cheap. I just wonder.
That's a very good underrated move, and we've been screaming tight end for 2 years with the Jets. So
now Jets have made some other not totally under the radar. Laken Tomlinson, I think, is his name. This is actually very big because now they're solidifying that offensive line. He'll be probably the right guard because you'll have Vera Tucker, unless they do a flip flop with them.
I wouldn't love that.
I think he's a right guard. I think he was a right guard with San Fran. So I don't think they're going to do that. I just don't know what they're going to do. But he's a mauler. He's great. He knows the blocking scheme, zone blocking scheme. He's good in pass protection. And what I love, maybe more than all of that, hasn't missed a game in 3 years, which is huge. Okay. Availability is the best skill you can have. You got to be on the field. Who's a running back for Carolina we were talking about last week?
Christian McCaffrey?
Dude, guy's infinitely skilled, maybe one of the most skilled athletes in the entire league. But when you only play half the season, it ain't worth it, So this guy's on the field all the time. They also picked up a corner. They have done very, very well. They've done very well. So
this is where Joe Douglas has got to flex his muscles now, man. It's like
they had some money. He made some moves. Oh, by the way, they haven't used any of their real draft capital to bring in any of these guys. It's all been free agents. So that means they still have 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks. If I'm not mistaken, I think they have 8 or 9 picks overall in the draft, which my guess is they'll do some kind of moving around. That's an awful lot. They may they'll do something like take a 6th and a 4th and move up to a 3rd or something like that. Who knows? But I'm very happy with what they've done so far. I will state, for the record that the question to me, Joe Douglas is the real deal. I still am a question mark on Saleh, although I still feel confident with him. And in the end, he's the coach. He's not the player.
Right.
It's Zach Wilson. Is Zach Wilson the guy? We don't have an answer for that yet. You know me. I love his talent. I love his attitude. I love his athleticism. I certainly love his arm. His arm was ranked 8th in the league by PFF just this past week or so. So he's got plenty of arm talent there. He's a little undersized, and can he? Is he a player? We're going to find out, because they're going to protect him this year. Let's put it that way. The rumors are they'll pick a tackle with the first pick. The kid out of NC State, if he's available, which would be beautiful. I can't even talk about this enough, right? I've said this a million times. Once you have your quarterback, you got to protect him. Because if you don't protect him, he's going to suck. Just ask
David Carr.
Or the kid for the Giants right now, Matt Jones.
Yeah.
So, you could be the best. If you're on your back, you can't make throws. So, who else? What were some of the surprises that you saw?
Well, Zach Ertz re-signed with the Arizona Cardinals.
I was hoping for him. Yeah. But then
plus he looks good in green.
He does, and he does well in green also. But he did really well with the Cardinals, and I'm not surprised. They gave him a decent amount of money for it. But it's fascinating. You look, I'm looking at a lot of these guys, and I'm saying I see a lot of shrewd deals going on. And if I'm the players, we weren't going to talk about this, but I'm just going to throw this out there. If I'm the players in the players union, we talked about this last year. We breezed over a little bit, but I'm going to bring it up again. If I'm the players other than quarterbacks, I really want to get into some kind of discussion about a quarterback salary cap, because what you're seeing are quarterbacks' salaries going through the roof. Like, just they're eating up 25% of the salary cap. And it almost looks like everybody else isn't just staying the same. They're starting to go down.
I know.
I know. The Jets just signed a cornerback for like $12 million a year, where or less than $11 million a year, where a guy like that would have gone for 16, 17, a tight end for 6 or 7, like a starting Super Bowl tight end for 6 or 7 or $8 million a year. Offensive linemen going for 11, 12, 13, high-end offensive linemen. I'm just saying, if you're like a tight end, if you're a defensive tackle, you got to be like, what the hell? Like, I can't, their numbers aren't going up at all, even though the salary cap is going up. It's all going to quarterbacks and even sometimes wide receivers. But even the receivers in this free agency class are not getting a big dough, man. You just mentioned Allen Robinson get $15 million a year.
What did
Nothing
Godwin
to sneeze at. Don't get me wrong.
What did Godwin sign for? 20? 3 years, 60?
3 years, 60. Yeah. And that's a lot.
If he was healthy, he might have had a little bit more.
Maybe, but even so, there's receivers in the NFL right now that I would say are probably not even as good as Godwin, although the knee is an issue, making 25. So that's why.
What's Corey Davis make?
He makes 13. So that's why everybody's it's a lot of money. I'm like,
no, that's fair.
That's a 75 to 80 catch player when he's healthy. Yeah. That's a good number.
Yeah, Barrios was making 6, and he might be your best player. Your best weapon.
This is what I mean.
Yeah. So it balances out. Some teams
the bottom guys are getting squeezed, and all the money's going to the top. And if you could fix that by putting a quarterback salary cap or a top earner. It doesn't have to be a quarterback, but it could be a top earner salary cap. And then the team would have money to spend on the rest of the team, and other guys would get fed. That's what I'm looking at. I'm like, if I'm a guard, Aaron Rodgers gets $50 million. How much can I get? There's 51 other guys on the team. So I can only get so much because he eats up so much.
Right.
So it's like, I work hard too, dude. I'm important too. I protect your ass.
We'll finish with the Jets here. You lost your other pretty good, not star safety, but pretty good safety to the New Orleans Saints.
Kind of saw that coming. They were going to let him go. I don't know why it was so contentious. I think it ends up coming down to money, but they signed what I would say maybe a better corner, a better safety, Whitehead from Tampa Bay.
Yep.
So, and healthier.
Dude, 3 years ago, if you would have told me you're going to lose both these safeties, I would have told you you're nuts.
I'm a little disappointed with May. I was okay with Jamal Adams. Now
oh my God,
they can't get rid of this guy fast enough.
You're dancing under the table right now.
What they gave up for him was so bananas, and everybody's like, "Wow, the Jets are just giving up." It's like, dude, you just backed up the Brinks truck for a safety. Like, but he's a pass rusher. Okay, how's that working out? You were last place this year, and now Jamal Adams is crying and bitching and moaning. Yeah, that's the guy we wanted.
Right.
That brings up one other thing, and then this is the last Jets thing I'm going to bring up, because this isn't even about talent. You can clearly see also the type of player they're bringing in for the Jets. They're not bringing in nonsense guys, chirpers, loud, annoying, talkative guys. They want character guys.
Mm-hmm.
And they're looking at it as if 100% was if 100 was the best talent you can have on your team, we'll gladly be a 93, but a cohesive unit as opposed to being a 97 with personalities and all kinds of pains in the asses like Jamal Adams, especially at a position like safety where it's like shut the hell up and just kick ass.
Yep.
So you can clearly see what they're doing there. And whether you think the moves are good or not, or whether they pan out or not, what I'm happy to see is a clear plan that's in place that they're following through with, not deviating from. And that's important to me. So I lied. There was one more thing. This is small, but we talked about it last year, and this problem has been cleared up. They also re-signed Joe Flacco. And I saw somebody say, what the hell did they do that for? I don't know, because you want a grown-up in the room? Like, this was the problem to start the season.
Yeah, we didn't love that, how they handled that. Yeah, maybe a year too late.
Well, but I'd still rather he was there. It's a nice guy to have there, and it's not bad for him to sit back.
No, it's not.
And that reminds me of somebody that we've talked about a number of times. Did you see Chase Daniels got another contract?
This son of a bitch. A turd that won't flush, this guy.
He's been in the league, I think it said 14 years. He's started a total of 5 games, and I think he's made like $40 million in his career, dude.
Well done. For him,
beautiful,
and his agent,
beautiful thing, dude.
What a beautiful.
God bless.
And he's not done. He's going to last another 3-4 years.
Why would he be? They couldn't. He was one of the first guys the Chargers signed. He was the first one. Like, we got to get Daniels back in here. Like, whoa, okay, that's important. Forget Von Miller.
Maybe you guys should take a look. For Christ's sake.
Shit, this Chase Daniels, he's like HIV. You just can't get rid of him, dude. It's incredible.
We'll keep it on the quarterbacks. The Pittsburgh Steelers might have found theirs. Mitchell Trubisky. We talked about this a little bit last week. I think it's a good move for them.
I think it's a good move for both. It buys the Steelers some time. The Steelers, when they're at their best, are defense, run the ball, don't make mistakes, and then win games at the end. And Trubisky can do that. If there's one thing that he didn't really do when he was with Chicago, he wasn't really a turnover machine. He didn't really turn the ball over. You could almost say he was almost too protective of the ball. That's why they didn't push the ball down the field, didn't take risks. But so from a Pittsburgh point of view, this is great because he's that kind of player, and it's only a 2-year deal, so it's kind of like a trial run for him. It's like a second chance for Trubisky.
We got more breaking news.
Sweet. And it's great for Trubisky because he gets a chance to prove himself and either earn another contract and stay in Pittsburgh or test the free agent waters 2 years from now. Let's listen. People forget that he went to the playoffs twice in 4 years with Nagy and that Chicago Bears team. And now you see what they did this past year, and he looks like he's fantastic. Like, wow, they were able to do that with Trubisky. Maybe he's better than we thought. I don't know. So we're about to find out. But either way, it's good for both. It's not the end for either, but it's a good deal for both of them.
I think. Did they keep their offensive coordinator? They got a new I think they.
Matt Canada is their.
He's still there, right? Yeah. So my brother is not a fan. I think Steve's not. I
am not a fan of his either.
Richie's not a fan.
He has failed at I don't know how this guy.
He failed.
This is one of those guys you think he's got receipts of from hotels with coaches and GMs with hookers or something.
He's got Meyer pictures or something.
He's gotta, because somehow he keeps getting a job and people are so excited that he keeps being hired, and he's bad. I mean, he just isn't great. But
I don't know how he's going to be in that offense, but right now I like it. I think he's going to.
It's just good for both. It's clearly temporary.
2 years?
It's a 2-year deal. It's clearly temporary, but it gives both a little bit of room. It gives the Steelers 2 more years to figure out that they want to draft somebody. Like, he's not so bad that you're going to be, terrible, because they won with the Bears, Right. So he's not going to be terrible. Probably not going to be great either, but it just buys you some time. You'll win a lot of games. Mike Tomlin has never been under 500, so the fan base will still be at least excited. They won't get pissed off because you'll still be winning games. But you're probably not a Super Bowl contender either. Unlikely. So it just buys them some time. Maybe, this year's draft does not look pretty for quarterbacks, but maybe next year's will be better, and they'll have a chance to maybe make some moves, move up in the draft, and get that guy for the future. Who knows? You know what I'm saying? So it buys them some time, and it's not the worst, move to do that. It's not Tyrod Taylor or something like that. He's well, we'll see. I guess we'll see. We don't know that, but we'll see.
Tyrod Taylor to the New York Giants.
And he may start because Daniel Jones.
I don't think so. I hope
no,
not.
I know, but it's just. I think he might be better than Daniel Jones, though.
He hasn't been healthy the last 2 or 3 years either. He was a
can
good.
Tyrod Taylor decide to go to a team that doesn't have an established starter, though? I mean, because he's actually like pretty decent. Like, go somewhere where they don't have a starter.
Seattle.
That might not be a bad spot. Oh no, but what's his name is really good.
Who, Geno Smith?
No, your guy.
Oh, Lock. I didn't think about that.
Drew Lock is really good. No, he's really good. Okay. You want Tyrod Taylor in Seattle over Drew Lock, for God's sake.
Christian Kirk to the Jacksonville Jaguars. They're spending some money there, bro.
I'm a fan of Christian Kirk, but boy, they unloaded.
Yeah.
And you know what? If you're the Jags and you're bad and you just had the shit go on that you just had go on, you're going to have to overpay if you want to attract some of these guys. So, I like him.
Nice weather and no tax.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's a no-brainer for him, right? Because he really wasn't being utilized great with Arizona.
And you know what? Let me get out of this circus before it gets really bad. Because I think that's going the wrong way.
Yeah, this is what happens. Kyler Murray is turning into like a younger Aaron Rodgers right now. All sensitive and emotional and like, I just don't feel like you love me. It's like, dude, you got 2 more years on your contract. Chill. Okay. There's other things that we got to deal with. Chandler Jones, what about him? He went somewhere, right?
He signed with the Las Vegas Raiders.
What do you think of that?
Getting.
You worried about him getting older, though?
Yep, I am.
That's what I'm thinking.
He had a real good start to the year and then kind of faded away. And I think he got hurt. The Raiders do this, though, dude. They sign these weird guys that are maybe a year too late, a year too.
They love the names.
And I think they were kind of desperate as well. They see the division stacked off the fucking chains.
Did they sign any wide receivers? The Raiders?
They lost one. I know that. They lost Zay Jones. Exactly. But I don't think they signed anybody else. That's
what they need. That's what they need. They need help on defense.
There's not that many left out there, right?
No. Then maybe they're going to have to lean on the draft for this one. But they needed help on defense. Chandler Jones will help. And you have what's his name? Crosby on the other side, or no? Who's the defensive end? They just signed him.
They just released him.
Who they just signed?
Max Crosby. They re-signed.
Crosby. They re-signed Crosby, and so now you got bookends, which is nice. And that's why Chandler Jones had a little issue. TJ Watt got hurt, and he was gone, and he's not. So maybe that'll help both of them stay a little healthy. Single protection on them. We'll see. I just think he's a little older. We'll see. I don't know. They need wide receiver help because Derek Carr needs help with that. He needs help with that. He needs weapons.
How's their
line in that
look?
division?
Does their line need help too?
It's funny. Their line is not great, and it's if you look at the PFF rating, it's middle of the road or slightly worse. But if you watch games, he's not always like running for his life. Now that may be schemed because they throw the ball a lot of 3-step drop stuff or get rid of the ball quick stuff, which is smart, frankly.
Renfro, Waller, you got the weapons to do.
So that may have they may have been able to scheme their way out of that, which is the way you got to do it if that's what's going on, which the Jets should have learned from. Don't just let your rookie quarterback drop seven steps and sit back there when you got nobody blocking in front of him. But But I would just like to see them get some help with wide receiver. And listen, they're really close against the Bengals last year, and the Bengals went to the goddamn Super Bowl. So, you could make an argument that the Raiders really aren't that far from being an elite team. They just play in a really difficult division that just got tougher. Man, so
a good thing it's St. Patty's Day because I'm drinking this way too fast. One of the best signings that I've seen so far, J.C. Jackson to the Chargers.
Yes.
In a division where you're going to need guys to stop some people.
Isn't it fantastic when you have a great quarterback on a rookie contract and you can sign big name players?
But Pete, why are you still talking about the salary cap?
Well, because I don't know. Because it's only what's going on here, folks.
By the way, I will not name names. However, he's one of my best friends, and we could kind of figure it out. I got word this week that he is learning to really become a fan of the salary cap talk.
Oh, you know why? Because it matters. And let me just say this. I would love to just drill it home and say, see, you dummy, you should have been listening the whole time. What I'd rather say
no
is,
name calling, no name calling.
What I would rather say is, good. Maybe we have done a decent job of showing how important just having a remedial knowledge of salary cap is, because you'll see this in here. I'm talking more to the folks that listen than I am to you, Scotty, because this right now. You'll see stuff on TV all the time. You'll see what Max Kellerman or Keyshawn Johnson a lot of times, and you'll see it with like
he's not going away yet, huh? Keyshawn?
He fell asleep on the show the other day, and I'm not even kidding. He actually fell asleep. We could talk about that in a minute. But you'll see all the time, they'll just say, "Oh, just sign this guy." And it's like, dude, it's just not that simple. Like, we talked about this how many times with Aaron Rodgers when we say, okay, great, you give the guy $50 million. Dude, he's probably worth more. If you're asking what his value is, Aaron Rodgers' value in Green Bay, Wisconsin, like his value is probably more like $100 million, maybe more. It might be actually more than $100 million. But the reality is he cannot play 1 versus 11. Like, you have to have a team around him, and there's 51 other guys on a team, and you have to pay those guys. And the better those guys are, the better Aaron Rodgers can play. So this is what makes Tom Brady a genius, because Tom Brady learned very early, take less, win more, become a fucking god. And guess what? Everyone and their brother who owns a business will pay you gobs of money to sell their shit, and your NFL salary won't mean dick. Okay?
Well said,
Stop worrying about your salary, dude. Aaron Rodgers, you can sell anything. You go to Allstate or whatever commercials he does over there, and just say, dude, give me $100 million, and they'll give it to you gladly. They won't even hesitate to give it to you. They're $1 billion company. They don't give a fuck about $100 million.
Nope.
When you bring them more business than they know what to do with. So anyway, that's why. So I'm glad. I wouldn't want to pick on somebody I bust balls a little bit, but I'm glad, because it is important. It helps you understand why things happen sometimes. Kyle Van Noy just got cut by the Patriots. They brought him back. They let him go. Yeah. He went to Miami. Miami let him go. Patriots signed him again, and now they just let him go again. And if you look at him statistically, he actually had a really good season. He's just too expensive. What do you mean he's too expensive? He had a really good season. Because you got to pay 52 fucking guys, man. And his salary, when you do some kind of bullshit algorithm, was too much. Now, somebody will pick him up and be very happy they have him. Maybe the Jets will. I hope they do, because he's actually a really good player still. But it's the business of the game, and it is a business.
A couple more guys out there, and then we'll move on. That big names. I don't know necessarily how great they still are. Bobby Wagner. A couple teams
getting a little long in the tooth. Long in the tooth. But hey, I'd love to have him on a team. You know what happens, dude? And this is what I wonder. When you see some of when the free agency period starts, a lot of activity early, and then things slow down, and then you look at who's still available, and you're like, holy shit, look at these guys that I know really well, that I've seen in this league for a while. And you realize, well, they've been in the league for a while, and they expect a certain amount of money, and teams just aren't willing to give it to them. And they're in no rush to bring their price tag down. So that's why this is a perfect example. Like Bobby Wagner
can definitely still play.
Yeah, and he might be a Hall of Famer. So for him to just say, take $3 million, she'd be like, kiss my ass. But that might be all he can get. And he may have to come to a decision of taking something like that or not playing. So
or going to a bad team for more money.
Or going to a bad team.
Tyrann Mathieu. I think this guy's a good fit because he's versatile, and I think he's a team guy.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised at this one because he's still kind of what I would think is the prime of his career, right?
Yeah.
Again, maybe he's asking for too much money. We mentioned last week that the salary cap didn't go up as much as we were thinking it would have. It didn't even go back to the pre-2021 year, 2020, whatever, before COVID, the pre-COVID stuff. It didn't even get back to that yet. So, while it did go up, it didn't go up a ton. So teams aren't really able to spend as much. And you have some teams like the Packers who had to make cuts. So I'm a little surprised at that one, though. He's a real player. He's a really good player.
I'm
He's
not saying
nice
if
to
the Steelers, a team like the Steelers or Cowboys get involved with him, he could really change it.
I can see that. I can see it with Dallas too. He's an LSU guy, he's a Louisiana guy. Go back down south, something like that. Maybe the Saints. Who knows? Take less money. But
my news that I wanted to share with you a couple minutes ago.
Yeah, what was that? Just
Baker
happening?
Mayfield requests trade after meeting with Deshaun Watson. That his feelings got hurt. The Cleveland Browns say will not grant it.
Really?
So we have a little trouble in Cleveland right now.
So I wanted to bring this up with you. This is one of the things I wanted to talk about. It was Baker and it was still Jimmy G because and now with Deshaun Watson. So now there's this like group of four, we'll say. And the only reason it's four is because Deshaun Watson has talked about his interest in Atlanta.
Yep.
Well, the problem with that is Atlanta has a guy there who makes about $45 million a year. His name is Matt Ryan. So now you have these four quarterbacks that all either want to move or need to be moved. And it's like, who's going to get what? And then it's like Atlanta, Saints, Carolina, Colts are like jockeying.
Saints?
That's what I said. Atlanta, Carolina, Saints. The Saints and the Colts are the 4 teams. And it's like, who's gonna get what? So like you can see, I got to give Scotty a ton of credit here, and I very rarely do this because he doesn't really deserve it. But on this one, you deserve a shit ton of credit because last week you mentioned, wouldn't Matt Ryan be a great fit on the Colts? Do you remember, or did I say that? Maybe I said that. No,
don't go back.
I tried to steal it from you.
1 step forward, 2 steps back,
dude. Well, what if Deshaun Watson kind of forces his way to Atlanta? Couldn't you have like a 3-way trade?
Well, dude, I'm glad you brought that up because I heard that Houston did not want any part of Baker. They were happy with your boy Davis Mills.
Man.
And I think they would probably might go the same route with Matt Ryan. So you'd have to get a third team involved then.
Well, but it's a good fit with the Colts. Maybe
it's a perfect fit with the Colts, man.
You send Deshaun to Atlanta. Atlanta sends Matt Ryan to Indy. And then somehow both teams send some picks
or exactly.
to Houston. Ooh, I know. That could be super interesting. And I think it's a win-win for everybody.
And you're not trading Deshaun Watson in division. You're getting
correct. He goes to and not even in conference.
Correct.
He goes to another conference. And if you're Matt Ryan, aren't you happy with that move?
Definitely.
You're near the end of your career.
Your star receiver just is suspended for a year.
You have no receivers left other than your beautiful tight end that I loved so much. I was right. And you go to a team that if they didn't have such a mental case at quarterback last year, we were still considering Super Bowl contenders up until the last week of the friggin' season, and all they had to do was beat the Jags. You think Matt Ryan quarterbacking the Colts would have beat the Jags last year? Me thinks, yeah.
Not only the Colts, they would have went 12-5.
That's what I'm saying. So I think that's kind of a win-win, and it wouldn't maybe it would surprise me because you don't see too many 3-way trades in the NFL these days. But boy, it sure makes a lot of sense.
One more sneaky move that I want to bring up before we go on to something else. Myles Jack to the Steelers.
Is that done? That happened?
Done.
So do you think that was a cap casualty?
I think that makes the Steelers very, very
defensively.
It makes Devin Bush better next to him.
Shit, yeah.
If your D-line's like the normal Steeler D-line, this guy's going to rack up tackles.
Yeah.
I think it's a really good sneaky move, man.
You think that was a cap casualty move? You think it was this money-saving move?
Yeah, especially bringing in bringing in Christian Kirk for $80 million or whatever the hell he's.
Yeah, I guess it had to be. Good God.
Who did Peterson hire at DC in Jacksonville? Do you know this?
I don't.
Because he's got his work cut out for him.
Yeah. It's hard. Listen, as a Jets fan, I can tell you it's hard. What was it? The Jets made some move.
I don't even know what this is.
The Jets made some move the other day, and you're like, dude, this is nice. And I'm like, oh, dude, they just have so many holes. And you're like, you said something like, that's what she said, or whatever the hell, like, that's what you want to hear her say, or something like that. And I'm thinking, God, they can make 3 more moves, and they like 3 more big moves, and they still wouldn't be done. Like, you look at Denver. Denver brings in Russell Wilson, and you're like, God, they are complete. Just like that. Forget the fact that they also bring in Gregory, which is just a nice piece because you're against some of the best quarterbacks in the entire NFL in your division. You bring in Russell Wilson. You didn't give up any real offensive weapons. You're complete. You're ready to go. And when you're a not good team, the Jets, the Jags, Houston, you bring in a nice player and you're like, that's great. Holy shit, we need like 10 more guys. Like we need like 10 more starters, both sides. Like it's tough. It's tough. So yeah, the Jags, it's tough, man. And it's hard to do. You know, in college football, you bring in the right coach. You know, I remember what's his name? His last name was Brown, basketball coach, college coached at
Larry Brown?
Larry Brown was one of these guys everywhere he's ever been, whether it was Kansas, goes to the Clippers, but in college, he ended up going to SMU, coached at SMU for a few years, and SMU was one of the best teams. If you get the right coach and they got money to spend and they're going to make great facilities on it, you can turn a college program around incredibly quickly.
Yeah.
You see that with Nick Saban. Within 2 years, they were like a national.
Urban Meyer at Ohio State.
Urban Meyer, you see it. It just happens, right? NFL is just a different animal, dude, especially when you're really bad. There's a reason you're really bad, you know, and you got a lot of holes. It's hard to fill them all because you got to be right on all your decisions too, by the way. And especially when it comes to drafts, you don't know. Free agency is one thing you assume you're right because they're kind of proven commodities, but those don't even work out all the time. But draft picks, you know, it's kind of a 50-50 business. It's hard. It's hard to build a team back up. So, yeah, Jags are. It's going to be rough.
Jaguars defense coordinator is a young man named Mike Caldwell. He was the Buccaneers linebacker coach.
Ooh, good.
I'm not familiar, but good luck, sir.
Yeah, enjoy.
That's all I got, man. I think the next couple of weeks and like months, obviously, when it all pay. And listen, when the draft happens too, there's more trades. Maybe Barkley gets traded. Maybe McCaffrey gets traded. Yeah. So we'll see. But the next couple of weeks, to answer your friend, the next couple of weeks is going to be a lot of fun.
Absolutely. I heard something today, or I saw a question asked today, and I'll pose it to you because we left out Jimmy G in this whole trade conversation.
Yeah.
Do you think there's any chance
they bring him back?
Yeah,
I do. I think the longer it goes, I think there's more of a chance the longer it goes.
I think you're right, and I also don't think it's a terrible move.
I don't think it's a terrible move at all.
I think it's a smart move for the same reason they had him here this year. I don't know that do you think San Fran's totally sure on what they got?
No shot.
With the kid. No. I don't know
I think they're a little bit more confident than the Packers are with Jordan Love, but I don't think that's saying much either.
I'm not going to disagree with you, but if they are, it's a little more. It's not a lot more. It's a little more. And and Jimmy G ain't Aaron Rodgers. So it's not like you're replacing Aaron Rodgers. You're replacing Jimmy Garoppolo instead of, you know. So, yeah, I don't think it's outrageous to think that he might come back. You know, San Fran is as shut a team as there is in the NFL. Like, you just don't hear stuff. You hear, what do you hear? You hear scenarios, you hear hypotheticals, but you don't hear anybody say, I'm hearing out of San Francisco that this, and that. And then when you do hear that, it's always wrong. Like we heard with the draft, they're definitely moving up to get Mac Jones. Okay, that was wrong. Like, you know, so it's interesting. I think it's a real possibility that they hold on to him. And I actually think it would be pretty wise because, frankly, as quarterbacks go, he makes $25 million this year. He's pretty friggin' cheap. Yep. And he got you to, once again, Jimmy G, who everybody thinks stinks. Jimmy G got you to the NFC Championship game, and you almost won the damn thing, and you probably should have.
So probably should have.
Probably should have. What about now with that news, do you think that's the right thing for the Browns to do? Is say we're not trading him? Here's the thing. Let me point this out. He's on his rookie deal. So the difference of being on your rookie deal and having your regular contract, if you have your regular contract and you sit out, you won't get paid, but the year counts. So let's say you signed a 3-year contract, you've played 2 years. You sit out that third year, you're now a free agent. Whereas on your rookie contract, let's say and it's a 5-year deal, you played 3 years, you sit out a year, you still only played 3 years. Like it's not like that next year is, counts. It's just like when you're ready to play, you come back and you play. You don't get to abuse that year, if you want to say. So he's kind of stuck, but I'm just looking at it as like, dude, there's some pretty hurt feelings here. I know it's a long time till the season starts, but is this a good idea?
Yeah, I don't think you should ever come out and say anything one way or another because, number one, you look stupid. Number two, why cut your nose off to spite your face? If there's a deal that comes around that you really like and you're like, just leave everything open. And why would you want to screw up the quarterback there anyway?
Well, the mistake they made, and I think this is kind of what you're talking about, they let it be known to Chris Mortensen,
Correct.
and the quote was, "We want an adult in the room."
Yeah, that's stupid.
So what do you think? What do you think Baker's gonna
Right.
think? He doesn't want to fucking be there now.
So now you don't
I
want me
wouldn't
there,
either.
and you're gonna bust my, and you're gonna criticize me at the same time. Like, come on, bro.
It's one thing. So, like for example, before Atlanta did anything with the Deshaun Watson thing, they went to Matt Ryan. They talked to Matt Ryan. They sat him down, or it was probably a phone call or Zoom or whatever. But they talked to
Zoom.
him. They filled him in on what they were thinking and doing, and all that kind of stuff. Matt Ryan still probably didn't like it, but at least he had the heads up and he didn't hear it on ESPN. You know, that's not what happened with Baker. Like Baker kind of caught this shit secondhand. First, the idea, the quote from Chris Mortensen, and then the whole going after Deshaun thing. So I get it.
So
but I think sometimes when it gets this far, it might be time to just move along. But I just don't know what they could do about that. What would they do?
We haven't been the biggest fans of Brian Cashman over the last couple of years with his decisions. However, he moves in the dark. You have no idea what he's going to do, and no one knows anything. And he doesn't criticize guys along the way.
Nope.
So there's a way of doing it. That's the right way and the wrong way. And what the Browns did, I don't listen.
Yeah.
We both agree Baker's mediocre at best, but he doesn't deserve to be talked about like that in a public eye. Like
it just doesn't serve any good purpose.
No, it doesn't.
Unless you have, you might want to say that after a deal is cut.
Correct. You could say whatever you want.
It's not to me, that's not the right thing to do.
It's not couth, but yeah.
Yeah, but I get it, because then the deal's done, and who gives a shit what Baker thinks at that point? But to do it before you have a deal done, and now you got to deal with this guy. We were just talking about the 49ers and how you never know, just like you said about Cashman, you never know what they're thinking, what they're doing. Any moves they make, nobody saw coming. Go about your job and don't tweet. Go about your job and don't talk. Just talk to Houston. Don't talk to me. Don't talk to Chris Mortensen. Talk to Houston. See if you can get the deal done. If you can't, nobody needs to know. Or else tell your guy ahead of time. Listen, Deshaun's great. You're mediocre. It's not in those words, but always looking to upgrade. Blah 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 blah. So
yep.
Anyway, all right. You want to get to our postmortem on the AFC and NFC North?
Norris. Yep.
Let's do it.
All right, we'll go AFC North first. The Cincinnati Bengals, Super Bowl runner-up, young offense coming back
without their tight end.
Upgrades they need a little bit, O-line, and obviously your division is very tough.
O-line, for sure. You can't continue to have Joe Burrow, who, let's be honest, not the biggest dude in the league. But I wouldn't want the biggest dude in the league taking his beating, because you see what happens to Andrew Luck.
No,
you end up retiring early. So nobody can take that kind of beating for too long. Frankly, maybe that's why Cam Newton wasn't able to continue to be Cam Newton, because he took beatings for, self-inflicted, maybe because he was a runner, but they have to show up that offensive line. But I'll tell you what, man, we were talking about this the weeks leading up to the Super Bowl. This is a really good football team, and Joe Burrow is Joe Cool. He is Joe Cool, dude. I've said people have tried to compare him to, for God's sake, CBS announcer. Romo. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I see Joe Montana. Like, it's not a Joe thing, but I just see Joe Montana. Like, not the biggest arm, not the biggest guy, not the most athletic, but somehow he's athletic and makes the right throw and makes the right decision, and he's a great leader. It's Joe Montana, dude. Joe Montana.
Dude, real quick. Gonzaga's about to start. Chet Holmgren, their star freshman, 7 foot, 195.
195. I'm 195, and I'm 6'1".
What the hell is that?
Fatty!
You have a steak.
God, is he vegan?
Baltimore Ravens. They're good. Coaching.
Are they? Well, yeah, we think so. Although they were about to get fired.
The good and the bad. The good.
Yeah.
Coaching staff, obviously always good. Their defensive staff last year was not, but they had a ton of injuries. Lamar now, is he starting to become a risk?
Okay.
I love stumping you. Let's go.
Well, because I'm not. Listen, I bust balls a lot and say how smart I am. But the funny thing is, if you know anything about me, I don't really like to toot my horn a lot, because I actually get embarrassed when I'm complimented. So when I toot my own horn, I'm actually like kidding, kind of. But then we talked about this, and I brought this up, and people laughed at me. And Eddie is like, "You're fucking crazy because Lamar is the best." And I'm like,
wow.
And I'm gonna say what I've been saying, and I think I'm right, and I haven't been proven wrong in 2 years. So I think I'm gonna stick with this one. You are never gonna win less than 10 games with Lamar Jackson as your quarterback. I just also don't think you're ever gonna win a Super Bowl. So get used to being pretty good. And it's only gonna get tougher. Here he goes. He's gonna talk about the salary cap. It's only gonna get tougher because he's about to get paid. I think he's on his 5th-year contract this year, right? So it's only going to be like somewhere in the 20s, like 23, 24, 25 million. So it's not that bad. But at some point, they're going to have to pay him, and that'll be somewhere in the range of 40 to 50 million. And then we'll all pay, you got to get Lamar weapons. You got to get Lamar weapons. Well, you're not going to be able to get him any more weapons, dude, because he's your weapon. So I think this is what you got. You know, and listen, if you're a Jets fan, and you and somebody on some stupid podcast said to you, dude, you're never going to lose less than 10. You're never going to win less than 10 games, which, you know, we'd be jumping for joy. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm okay with winning at least 10 games every year. You're just never going to win a Super Bowl. I'm just telling you, look how hard it is, dude. Just look at the playoffs last year. Look at what Matt Stafford, the Rams won, right? Look at what Matt Stafford had to do. Look at the magic that he had to pull out of his ass against Tom Brady, against Cincinnati. Look at what Joe Burrow had to do just to get there. Look at what Tom Brady did do.
Titan game. Yeah.
Look at what Tom Brady did do against the Rams, and it wasn't enough. Like, it's hard. And then when you can't do those things with your arm, it's pretty much impossible, because there's always going to come a point, and probably multiple points in the playoffs, where that's exactly what you have to do. You're not going to win these games by double digits. You're going to have to make a lot of really good throws late in games, and that's just not who he is, folks. I'm sorry to tell you.
Yep.
But you're going to win 10, 11, 12 games every friggin' year because he's just so goddamn talented that most of the bad teams can't handle him.
The Pittsburgh Steelers, another great coach team. Not great. Very well coached team. Defense is bananas, especially if you add another guy or two. It's going to be really, really good.
And you just mentioned they picked up Myles Jack, right? So
Najee Harris, very good rookie season. Got a little stagnant at the.
They used him a lot,
but they really and Ben was awful. So I don't really look at that as a negative.
Yeah.
The bad or the questionable quarterback. We think they got their guy, but we don't know. They're boosting their offensive line as we speak, so that obviously will help.
Have to.
And again, the divisions is just tough.
So I wanted to ask you, obviously the Browns are the last team left on the list that you'll get to in a minute. But
yes, sir.
Who are the Steelers the worst team in this division? Like, I don't think they're bad. But I'm just asking, are they the worst team in this division?
Talent-wise or win-loss-wise, do you think going into next year?
There's a lot that's going to happen between now and then, but
I got to be honest
with
you.
Just win-loss by next year.
I think no, I don't. I think the Browns have now taken a step back, and I think if there's drama there. Because now Beckham's gone, Baker? Landry's gone. They traded for Amari Cooper, but, we've seen him
He's a quiet guy. He's a keep your mouth shut, keep your head down guy.
He is. But he's also been hurt a lot.
True.
Their O-line and run game is fantastic, and you can win anywhere and in any kind of weather with a team like that.
And Baker's still relatively cheap. Oh, man. Is Baker better than Trubisky?
That's the biggest question mark. That really is.
Isn't that crazy that's even a question?
I know.
But it really is, folks.
But
guess who has the most turnovers at quarterback in the league in the last 2 seasons?
Is it Baker? Because Stafford was flirting with it last year too.
Stafford's pretty bad. It's Baker Mayfield. Most interceptions.
That doesn't shock me.
No.
And if Wentz played 2 years, it'd be him.
Oof. Poor Carson. Dude, he only had like 7 this year. What are you talking about? It's just some of his bad spots, and they're ugly. Oh my God. High school shit. I was talking to a Redskins fan. Look at me. How much bourbon have I had? I'm going back in time, Back to the Future. Although Redskins is so much better than the Commanders. I can't bring myself to say Commanders. I say this every week, whatever. I was talking to a Washington fan today, and he's like, what do you think? And I'm like, dude, I said, I still am rooting for Carson Wentz. I said, and he's really big. He is a big kid, really athletic, talented. But boy, some of those turnovers, they're just so cringy. There's interceptions, and then there's the cringy stuff, and his are just so cringy.
What does he think as a Commander fan?
He,
it sounds like I'm
he
seeing
really,
a USFL team or something.
I didn't even know what team he was talking about when he first said it. It didn't even sound like he said Commanders. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? Canadian football? He really didn't know. He's like, what should I be feeling right now? I don't know. Like, he's like, the guy's really talented, right? I'm like, yeah, he's a big dude, athletic, a lot of skill.
My advice for him would be get a bottle of Tums, a bottle of bourbon.
Well, he's a student, so I don't want to tell him that.
Oh.
Let me ask you, though. Do you think he's better than Heineke?
I don't. I think they're the same.
Really don't?
And he gave away 2 picks for him.
Now, 2 third-rounders. Jesus.
Just still, you get some good plays in the 3rd round.
Can you imagine your starting quarterback is only worth 2 third-round picks? Jamal Adams went for 2 first-round picks. I mean, that was a bad trade, though.
Russell Wilson went for 2 first-round picks.
Yeah, Russell Wilson went for 2 first-rounders. You went for 2 thirds. Oh, dude, it's like embarrassing.
And they're paying the money.
Yeah, we'll take the money too. Okay.
All right.
How desperate are you? So I told him, I said, I got to be honest with you, dude. I don't know. I said, I'm rooting for him because I like the guy. I think there's talent there, but I don't know what to tell you. Sorry.
One word. Many syllables. Yo, hold on 1 second.
Yeah.
I'm just doing a podcast. What's up? That's all good.
So I guess we got what? We got one more team that we'll talk about, which is the Browns.
What are you talking about?
The Browns, we just kind of mentioned, they got the drama going on with they got the drama going on with Baker Mayfield. It's just an absolute disaster. And like I've said so many times now, I just don't know how to come back. So when you call a player out and you're basically calling him childlike, and you're saying we want a grown-up in the room, this is one of those spots where I have to actually give it to Colin Cowherd. He gets this one right. He always says it's not very quarterbackial. I want him to be. You got to remember these guys are in their 20s and in their early 20s, and they've just been thrown, tens of millions of dollars, and now you're asking them to be grown-ups, and it's kind of too easy. Just remember what you were.
Be careful. No, you're good. I'm about to see you.
23, 24, and we're asking these guys to be grown-ups. So it's like, really, were you such a grown-up when you were 22, 23, 24? But now we're going to ask Baker Mayfield to be a grown-up, and it's like, and then we're going to say that publicly, and then we're going to pursue another quarterback, and now we're going to ask you, we're not going to trade you. We're going to have to work this out. And that's where the Browns are with Baker Mayfield, and that's why I wonder, and that's why I was asking you, who's the worst team in this division?
Gotcha.
Is it the Browns or is it the Steelers? Like, if you were to put the quarterbacks in order, I think you'd probably have the Steelers in 4th, right?
Even that's a question mark.
I mean, probably, right?
Yeah, probably.
But just with, God, that little bit of turmoil. If this was a defensive tackle and this is turmoil, nobody gives a shit. But once again, it's your quarterback, and it's not good. And then you wonder, like, how many commercials can one guy do, and does this start to play into it? And it's like, You know what? That's a good. I thought about that too. I'm like, I wonder how many commercials they have in the kitty that's been used yet. If these got what I'm saying, man. How many did Allstate have to can because Chris Paul and James Harden weren't friends anymore? Rodgers with the double check. So it's just, I don't know. It's an interesting division. It's a tough division. Listen, the Browns are really talented, dude. That team is loaded. I know. Now, maybe they can use another receiver now after losing probably their 2 best receivers. But it's a really talented team, and they're very, very talented on defense, and everyone knows they can run the ball. That's one of the best running teams in the league. So turmoil's a bitch, though, dude. It just is. And you know what the funny thing about it, too, is things may look fine for a while. You saw that with Green Bay. And at the worst time, it rears its ugly head, and that was in the playoffs for Green Bay. And that's what I can totally see happening with the Browns. You can see, dude, Baker, if anything is about Baker, he's got chip on his shoulder. And when people start calling him out and he says he sucks, he did this at Texas Tech. He did this at Oklahoma. When you say he sucks and when you want to trade him, I'd expect some decent things out of Baker Mayfield this year because that's kind of his MO. Tell me I suck, and I'm going to show you that I don't, right? But it's a long-ass season, dude. It's a long-ass season. He's got a little Jim Harbaugh in him where he's like, if you're going to doubt me, I'm going to MF everybody up and down.
like last year.
And it may look weird, and it may not look like Tom Brady, and it may not be the most athletic, but I'm going to get it done. And in a way, I'm kind of hoping he does, because I love when athletes prove people wrong. That's why I kind of root for Carson Wentz or even Trubisky or Jared Goff. I root for these guys because I know they're actually pretty good at what they do. It's just hard. So when I see Baker Mayfield, who's kind of a douche, you got to admit he's kind of a douche. And yeah, he really isn't a grown up. And maybe he needed to hear that, a little tough love maybe. But if he does, look out. Yeah. I'm just telling you, because there is some talent there. I don't know. I think he just needs to be a little more focused on what goes on in a field, dude, and not so concerned with the commercials.
First year with Stefanski, he was good.
Let's go to NFC North. Right?
NFC North.
What do you got?
Packers, obviously. Rodgers MVP back. Drama hopefully over. Run game's fantastic. They got some cap issues, obviously, now with all the money that they're throwing around.
Yeah.
Defense, they just had a couple guys go on defense, which hurts.
It definitely does.
And Adams,
who did they let?
Za'Darius Smith.
Smith, right? Yeah.
And of course, he went to Ravens, so he'll be a fucking all-pro.
Oh, absolutely. What do you go to Baltimore, right?
Yeah,
because that's what Baltimore does. Somehow they just scrape up their guys and they draft nothing but Pro Bowlers. It's whatever. I don't know how they do it over there. They got a goddamn magic 8-ball.
And Davante Adams said he's not going to play under the tag, so they have a little stuff that they need to figure out.
You summed it up. They had a great season. Once again, Aaron Rodgers came up small in the playoffs. I'm sorry, but he did. You just have to face the facts. And now you got a guy who comes up small. You're paying him $50 million a year. Face the facts, Green Bay Packers fans. It is what it is. The guy's infinitely talented. Okay, there may not be a more talented player in the league, but he comes up small in big spots. And then when they fall behind, he's not your guy. And he has half the come from behind wins of someone like
that wild turkey's really kicking in.
Love it. Yeah.
The Minnesota Vikings.
I was saying that for emphasis, not because I messed it up. He has half of Matthew Stafford. Now you can say, well, Matthew Stafford was always playing from behind. Yeah, but he was also on a really bad team. So the fact that he has that many comebacks says a lot about him. So, but you pointed out the two most important things. They lost a lot of players because of the cap issue, and Davante Adams says he won't play. We'll see if that's true, because it's kind of hard to not play for $23 or $24 million for one season and then become a free agent. But he can do that. He can do that. So we'll see. Those are two major problems, because that's Aaron Rodgers' guy.
Yep.
But Aaron got his 50. Aaron got his 50, and that's all that matters. All the shit that you heard over the whole year, all of that, it was all bullshit. It was all smoke and mirrors, giant smoke screen for him to get paid. That's so pathetic and so sad and actually kind of embarrassing, dude. Don't talk to me about wins. Don't talk to me. It's all about winning. It's not all about winning. I'm sure you want to win. I'm sure he wants to win. Nobody wants to lose, right? But don't tell me it's all about winning. Tom Brady's all about winning. Okay, yep. So I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. Don't talk about it anymore. Don't talk about winning anymore.
Minnesota Vikings. Kirk coming off his best year.
Yes.
Cook and Jefferson are fantastic weapons for him.
He got another $35 million.
New staff.
Who's head coach there?
Staff. That'd be Kevin O'Connell.
Would you consider this past season a disappointment for them? Because that's really what we're looking at. The past season.
Yeah.
Was it a disappointment? I think so too. There was a number of games, the Dallas game when Dak didn't play. I even said to you, I think the Cowboys are Dallas is just going to mail this one in. It's a perfect time to mail this one in. They were like 5-1 or 6-1 at the time, whatever the hell they were. On the road, no Dak, mail it in. And Vikings, with all that offensive firepower, they couldn't score against Dallas at home. It was like a number of games like that. And I think that was one of the things you were saying, like, well, they looked really good last week, so they're going to stink this week. Or they looked really bad last week, so they're going to be fantastic this week. And it kind of was how it went. Like, from week to week, they were like two different teams. It was so weird.
Their defense is bad, needs to get rebuilt.
I guess that's how your head coach gets fired.
Little older.
Yeah,
exactly.
They do have some holes on defense that needs to be filled.
Yep.
And, the funny thing about that, too, is if you think historically, the one thing that Minnesota kind of always did, and I guess this whole division was kind of known for, the Bears, Vikings, like, it's defense, right? Like, if we think of the NFC North, we think defense because it's cold and it's physical and you can't throw the ball like you want to and all that kind of stuff. So, even Detroit, when they're bad, they're usually pretty physical. So, although they're a dome team, so it's a little different. But
so the Viking.
They are now, right? Yeah.
The Bears.
I got
to be honest with you here. I don't have much for them. New
Well, it was a
staff.
bad season. If we're going to look at the past season,
New staff, defensive staff coming in. Big question mark with Fields, like we just mentioned.
is
Still
Andy Dalton
improving.
still on the team? He was a 2-year contract, right?
I think he
Or was
is.
it 1 year, $10 million? Or we would know if he was a free agent and he's not. So
Is Nick Foles
Right?
still on the team too?
I believe so.
Oh my god.
God, it's so weird.
Yeah, I'm telling you, they're a weird ass team, man.
That's another trade that I heard. I don't know if you brought that up, but how about making a small trade
Yeah, to the
if
Colts.
you're the
Foles
Colts?
to the Colts. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
that would make sense, right?
Man, you do
Cheap-
pay
it's probably
attention
cheap.
sometimes.
Sometimes.
Eh.
I left all my notes at school, but that's right, folks. I'm doing this all off the top of my head. You can't do that. I can do that. Go ahead. Let's go.
Oh,
Let's
for a
go.
guy that
Let's
doesn't pat
go.
himself on the back and take compliments. Holy shit. The Detroit Lions are one of our favorites. Dan.
Hey, by the way,
Campbell.
who's the new head coach of the Bears?
That'd be Eberflus. Matthew.
I do like him, but in an offensive league, he's a defensive coach. Although I find him to be extremely organized and probably smart enough to hire a good coordinator and just let him do his thing. Just do your thing. So we'll see. I'm not a believer in Justin Fields. So
Yep. Lions.
You got him.
Our boy Campbell. They play hard as hell.
they haven't
Young-
made a lot of noise with free
Young
agency.
weapons. Yeah, they're signing some guys. I think some guys notice what's going on up there and maybe want to be a part of it.
You know what? Now that I think about it, you're right. And I heard that that's what it was. Players, Lions current players chatting
Or
up
recruiting.
about
Yeah.
and they're able to sell Dan Campbell. I think this is
It's amazing.
so cool considering how his first press conference went with the whole knee biting weird thing, and it wasn't pretty. But boy, they
I
love
know.
him. They
I
love
know.
him. They love him. What a great recruiting tool to have. Like
Seriously.
when your players are the ones going out and doing that for the head coach.
They got
that's
some
kinda
picks.
cool.
They got high picks. The bad, obviously, defensively. And are they happy with Goff?
Well, I think Goff for them right now is more or less their version of Mitch Trubisky, right? Like he's who they have right now. I don't think they look at him. Listen, they're a bad team, just like the Jags. That's a bad team that needs a lot. It's going to take at least another year or two before they're a real playoff contender. So I think he's good for now, and he's Trubisky. He's your guy who's going to give you another 2 years to figure out what the hell you want to do. Whether that's build some draft capital to make a move for someone else or, find a way to find that guy in the draft. I don't know that. Listen, there was a lot. I call him a Super Bowl quarterback, but there was a lot of things that fell into place for them that year that they went to the Super Bowl. I think he's good. I just don't think he's going to be their guy to bring him to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But I think he's just a bridge quarterback. But he played pretty well last year. Listen, we talked about how many times were they in games or winning games and they got stolen from them late in games. Like,
Good point.
that was a more competitive team than the Jets were last year. Were they more competitive than Houston?
Yeah. Close. They're
Close,
definitely more,
but I think,
more than the Giants.
Teams, definitely more than the Giants. Oh, my God, yeah.
Man,
Competitive.
I was on the ropes here. 10 minutes to go. I don't like this.
Yeah.
That's all I got, bro. With the we have one more division next week, and we'll wrap that up.
Absolutely. Good.
The
Well,
West.
one more. Yeah, the West, right?
The West.
Good.
Yep.
What else we got? We got the golf from last week, right?
Oh my goodness, what a
Or you wanted to talk about March Madness, so we've been kind of chirping about it throughout the whole thing. You want to make your picks? So how about we do that? Because we're kind of running out of time here.
yeah. We'll do March Madness. We'll do our Final Four.
I could do my final four. I'm doing this off the top of my head. I'm gonna do the best.
You need a bracket, or what do you need? You need team. You want me to? See
I kind of can picture it.
All right.
I'm kind of picturing it here.
I have Gonzaga, Purdue,
Yes.
Arizona, and Iowa right now, which is scaring the shit out of me.
Okay. I have Gonzaga. I have
Baylor, Kentucky.
No, I have Kentucky.
Okay.
I have
Top right, Arizona.
Is that where Tennessee is?
Yeah.
I have Tennessee,
Nice.
and I have. All right, so I have Gonzaga, Kentucky, Tennessee, and
Kansas.
Okay, so, and I think Kansas. Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I have.
Who's
and
your
who do you have
championship?
win it all?
I have Purdue
I'm sorry.
versus Arizona and Arizona winning.
Well, I got Gonzaga winning it all, and here's why. I just think it's their year. I look at, and listen. I'm doing the best I can here. I didn't watch a whole ton of college basketball, but I don't see the mega stars and great teams.
They're not there.
You got 1 and 2 seeds with like 4 or 5 losses, which is kind of rare, dude. Usually your 1 seeds have like 2 losses, 1 loss, 3 losses at most. If there's a 1 seed with a 4 losses, you're like, this is bananas. You don't have these mega teams. And what's funny is Gonzaga doesn't have the kid from last year, Suggs, their one and doneer. And that almost works better for them because them and Villanova is the other team that's very similar to them, where they don't necessarily recruit that type of guy, but they got that cohesion. I think this is the year for Gonzaga for what I just said. They don't have that other mega team. Even Baylor isn't quite as good as they were last year, although they're very good. All these teams are good. All these 1s and 2s are very good. Don't get me wrong. I just think if Gonzaga is going to do it, this is the year. They have pretty much everybody there from last year except for Suggs. And
Kispert, he's gone too.
Okay. But they're a very good team. So I'm going to go with Gonzaga. I think they can see that this is as good a chance as they're going to have.
I mean, yeah, they've been close. And
it's so close. In the championship game last year.
But I got to tell you, bro, if you told me like a 6 seed won it, I wouldn't be shocked. It's just that kind of year.
Yeah, I agree. I just don't think there's mega teams. And we talked about this a little bit, that the one and done has kind of really, really hurt college basketball because it's hard to root for your team when you don't even know who the guys on your team are because it's just so transactional from year to year. Like there's just new guys. The rollover from year to year is so much. It's just hard. It's hard to be there. Arizona is a very good basketball team too. I don't have them coming out of. Did I say I have them?
No, you have Tennessee in that bracket. In the region.
But Arizona's really good. Tennessee I put in there because I wanted to have a non-top team, and Tennessee's very good. They were just playing right behind me. So.
Yeah, too bad they lose to Michigan on Saturday. That'd be great. Excuse me. No, that's
bold prediction.
No, I'm not making names. No, they're gonna lose. Michigan's
so what was your Final Four, and then who do you have playing?
Gonzaga, Purdue, Arizona, Iowa, Purdue, Arizona, and Arizona taking down the Nets.
Okay, so I sound smart. I was just saying Arizona's a very good basketball team.
The Goff. TPC Sawgrass.
Yes.
What an extravaganza this tournament was. Holy shit.
It was a shit show for a little while, and then it was awesome. We had people complaining about the conditions, but not so much the players, which I think is good.
Disagree. I heard a lot of players bitching about it.
Fuck them.
Yep.
And you know who those guys were? The guys that played bad.
Of course.
Yeah, because you suck. You didn't play well. Guess what? You don't say that to U.S. Open. I like seeing it. I want to see hard for these guys. I don't want it to look easy. You know what I mean? It's a hard sport. It should look hard.
I totally agree with you. I want to see these guys. I see one Duff one like we do all the time or something.
Yeah, it's like it just should be hard. I don't need it, I don't need it to be absurd, but it should be hard. And frankly, what was the winning score?
-11? No, it was higher than that.
It's not like it was the goddamn US Open where the winning score was 2 under.
Nice, like, yeah. It was double digits for sure. Yeah, definitely.
There were some hard holes. It was some tough conditions.
Yeah.
Get over it. I mean, give me a break, dude.
No,
What's it all supposed to be easy? Was Brooks Koepka one of the ones that was bitching about it?
I didn't hear him bitching, but he looks horrible with the blonde hair.
It was silly. But I just think, what the grass is too long or the greens are too hard. Fuck off.
Yeah. Hey guys, you can't put a mower on that. It rained for fucking 48 hours.
Yeah, but this is what we were talking about. Like the only way you can actually, we'll call it tiger-proof these courses now. You can't just keep making them longer and longer. Guess what you do? Make it imperative to hit the fairway. And this is kind of what happened at the Players, and it's also what happened at Arnold's tournament 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
Raise the height of the rough. Because you know what? This is how these guys look at it. I'd rather drive it 360 in the rough than drive it 320 in the fairway. Definitely. Well, make that a mistake. Because guess what? If Brooks Koepka took a little bit off, or I'm using him as an example because he's a long driver, but DeChambeau, you could say, or any of these guys, make them take 10 yards off and hit it in the fairway. And then they have a tougher second shot. Yeah. That's golf. That's what we look at. That's what we face all the time. How about a couple more 5, 6, 7 irons into the greens on par 4s? Let me see some of those.
Make it like a U.S. Open.
It doesn't have to be quite that difficult, but I don't want to see nothing but driver sand wedge putter. It's like, this is the game now. Make these guys hit a 6-iron into
Absolutely.
a par 4.
Absolutely.
Like, and that if you make the rough long, then it forces them to really consider, I got to be in the fairway. That's all that happened here. That's really all that happened here. And then the greens were tough. Well,
I think Justin Thomas played unbelievable in the wind on Saturday afternoon or whatever it was.
It was
Saturday
hard.
morning. It was.
And the wind part of it, there's nothing that the course can do about that. That was just crazy conditions. It was a funky day. That's just bad luck. But as far as the course, hit the fairway. That's the goal, right? That's the way the game is set up. The game is set up for you to drive it off the tee into the fairway and then go for the green.
They finished Monday night, and they barely finished Monday night.
I know. So who was the winner?
Cam Smith, the Australian bugger.
So I will throw this out there.
This kid can putt.
He's also really good. If you never heard of him, because he really hasn't won.
He looks terrible, but he's a great player.
He's not a handsome fella. But if you look back, look at the Masters last year. He was on the leaderboard. You look at the British Open. He was on the leaderboard. He's always around there, especially in the majors and these big tournaments. He's always there because he's a great ball striker. Guess what he does? He finds the fairway a lot, and he's a very good putter. And this is the kind of tournament. Now you go and win like the Barracuda Open, and it's not going to change your career as far as like what kind of player you are. But you win the Players Championship, you win like the BMW World whatever, what the hell they call it, World Tour Championship. You win Jack's tournament, you win Arnold's tournament, you win some of these not majors but big tournaments.
Yep.
The confidence that breeds, this was the Scotty Scheffler thing that I was bringing up. Yep. Like, you do well in the Ryder Cup, don't be surprised. You're going to see this guy win more, and you're going to see this with Kansas because he's really good. He's a very good player. Don't be surprised if he wins a major this year. Just don't be surprised if he wins a major this year. The guy's a real player. He's a real player. So, but it was fun. It was fun watching. I enjoyed it, and it's always fun to be able to watch some golf at work on a Monday.
Yeah.
If you have the opportunity, not everybody can do that, but if you have the opportunity, it's kind of fun. So,
well timed, brother. We are wrapping it up.
Look at that. What do you got for 59?
59, number 4.
And I got a tip. I don't have any special facts. I just have a tip.
Just a
tip?
Go ahead. All right, number 4. 2017 AL wins leader, 2019 comeback player of the year, cancer survivor, Cleveland Indian or Cleveland Guardian or whatever, and New York Mets pitcher Carlos Carrasco. Number 3, Super Bowl champ, 2-time All-Pro, 3-time Pro Bowl, Eagles linebacker Seth Joyner.
Very good player.
Number 2,
in his prime, he was fantastic.
Super Bowl champ, 4-time Pro Bowler, 2-time All-Pro, 2-time second-team All-Pro. Former Ram, Bills, and Redskins linebacker London Fletcher was a very underrated player. He might be getting a Hall of Fame at some point. Yeah,
played for a long time.
And number 1, 2013 Defensive Player of the Year, 2012 Rookie of the Year, 5-time All-Pro, 7-time Pro Bowler, 2010 All-Decade Team, and he's already retired Panthers linebacker Luke Kuechly.
He was very good, and he did retire too young, and maybe that's what we know about concussions these days, right? Probably has a lot to do with it.
Absolutely.
So let me tell you something that was in the news this week. A woman went to the doctor because she was having stomach pains, and they thought it was like irritable bowel syndrome, or they didn't know exactly. So they do an X-ray. Turns out, woman had a shot glass lodged in her intestines.
Excuse me.
I don't know if you heard me. She had a shot glass lodged in her intestines, and it turns out that shot glass had been there for 4 years.
What?
And you might be saying, Pete, why the hell are you telling me this? Well, for those who will hear this today, which is Thursday, St. Patrick's Day, and anybody who may be celebrating St. Patrick's Day over the weekend because of your work schedule, it didn't work out. Let me just say, if you happen to do a Boilermaker, which is a popular way of having a shot with a beer with the Irish, drink it, don't eat it. Okay, drink it, don't eat it. If you don't know, it's when you drop a shot of whiskey into a beer and you chug the beer and the shot glass goes in. By the way, for this lady, I can only imagine that's how she ended up with a goddamn shot glass in her friggin' stomach, because
dude, that's
what
bananas.
the hell are you doing?
That is bananas.
Like, how did that, Is she like an anaconda that this shot glass, or did she shove it up her ass and then just suck it all the way
Listen,
up? I don't know.
People do weird shit, man.
Gifted. She's gifted. For Scott Bracey, I'm Pete Colasano. You've been listening to Bump and Run. Have yourselves some fun this weekend, but don't get yourselves in any trouble. We'll see you next week.
Be safe and Uber, and later.
Later. That's a true story, by the way.
Shot glass.
That's
Oh
a
my
true story.
God.
4 years this thing was lodged in her intestines. How about that shit?
That's interesting.
Like that one?
That's interesting. Yeah, it's in America, or is it like overseas?
Yeah, no, this is America. I read it and then I heard it on the radio because I thought I was reading it on like I thought it came up on like one of those goof sites or something. Like it was
fucking
a joke.
Alabama, those fucking
Nope.
weird fucks.
It was real, but you would think it would have to be one of those Boilermakers, right? Like where you drink the shot in the beer and it all goes down.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
like you don't feel that going down. Okay. Okay.
Oh, that didn't feel right.
Woo, that went down so smooth. Anyway, hey, listen, have fun tonight. Don't
Hey,
get too
thanks,
crazy,
pal.
but get a
Thanks,
little crazy. And we'll talk.
Yes,
Enjoy
sir.
the
Thanks,
games.
bud. You too,
Later.
buddy.